All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. You can tell everybody from outside to come in if they'd like to join us. Okay, welcome everybody that's here. Welcome everybody that's online. And first of all, we wish a mazel tov. When you come to a siyum, and you come to celebrate the conclusion of a great body of Torah, especially a communal conclusion, a worldwide conclusion of the study of one book of Rambam. So we wish mazel tov to all those that successfully completed, whether it's 1 year or 3 years of study. And we wish a mazel tov in advance to all those who are no doubt going to join this year and this coming cycle. So just a little bit on the history of this takana, this establishment of the Rebbe to study the Rambam. So it really began in Tafshin Mem Daled. It's 1984, but there are those who remember seeing the Rebbe learn Rambam way earlier. There's people who remember seeing the Rebbe study Rambam on a regular basis in Otvatsk when he was still a student in Berlin. He visited his father-in-law in Otvatsk in Poland, outside of Warsaw, and they would see him study Rambam regularly. And likewise, before the Rebbe became Rebbe, he was in 770, people would see him studying Rambam on a daily basis before Ma'ariv. So it seems, we can't be 100% certain, but it seems it was something the Rebbe was already doing. And then in 1984, at a Yutes Kislev Verbrengen, at a gathering marking Yutes Kislev, the Rebbe kind of mentioned in passing this idea of learning Rambam, learning the halachas in Rambam. The context is that in Chabad there's a custom that every year in Yutes Kislev, they divide the entire Talmud amongst all the Hasidim. Each Chassid takes it upon himself to learn another tractate of Talmud to be finished by next year Yutes Kislev, and that way, communally, they will learn the whole Talmud. And often the case was, at these Yutes Kislev Verbrengens, they would make a siyum or hadran. The Rebbe would give an explanation on the end of the Talmud or the end of some tractate of Talmud in connection with the communal conclusion of the Talmud. And in that, in passing, the Rebbe mentions, it would be a nice thing if we did a similar thing for the Rambam's laws, Book of Laws. Now, the reality is there are many things the Rebbe says in passing that we should do, and most people didn't pick up on it. But there were some Chassidim, Shluchim in Morocco, and they picked up on this suggestion of the Rebbe, and they said, you know what, we're going to make it happen. And they divided amongst themselves, and they got the whole Sephardic community. Take my hat off is better? Not much you can do. Anyway, so these Chassidim in Morocco decided that they're going to do something like this. They took all the book of, sorry, it's going to rip the wire for that. Okay. In the closet there might be a light. Anyway, they decided that they're going to split all the laws of Rambam amongst themselves, and they're going to get the whole Moroccan community involved, and they got other Sephardic communities, and throughout all of North Africa, they split up all 14 books of the Rambam to be learned amongst each other in the same way the Talmud is split up. And this was Yutes Kislev, right? So they decided they're going to finish it by, or the Rebbe mentioned it by Yutes Kislev. So Yud Shvat, which is a month later, they decided they're going to finish it by Yud Aleph Nisan, which is 3 months later for the Rebbe's birthday. And they wrote to the Rebbe, they're doing this, and the Rebbe said, thank you very much, very nice. Comes Yud Aleph Nisan, the Rebbe's birthday, and the Rebbe's holding a Verbrengen. The Rebbe doesn't mention anything about what they did, but the Rebbe does make a siyum on Rambam. The Rebbe gives a talk explaining the end of Rambam, what we're doing here tonight. So the Chassidim already knew, okay, something's going on. And this siyum, this talk the Rebbe gave on the end of Rambam, had a follow-up talk 11 days later on Achin Shal Pesach, the last day of Pesach, the Verbrengen then. And that's when the Rebbe officially had launched this. The Rebbe said there were people who already started this idea of splitting the Rambam, but they did it in such a manner like the way Chassidim split the Talmud, where each person takes a section and communally they finish it. But it would seem to me that there are more appropriate ways each individual gets to complete it fully, and that's when he officially launched the program. But till they got the details set out, a few days later, there was a public audience, which means only certain people were invited to the audience, Yechidas Klolos, it's known, and they were there to announce we're going to have 2 tracks, one for 3 chapters a day to finish it in a year, and one for 1 chapter a day for those who feel like 3 chapters is too overwhelming. And a few weeks later, I think on, see if I have the date here, Sunday right after Shabbos Parsha Kedoshim, I don't know the exact date, that's when officially the first cycle was launched, and it was completed the next year just before Pesach, in conjunction with the Rebbe's birthday on the 11th of Nisan and the Rambam's birthday on the 14th of Nisan. And it was received by Hasidim with great fanfare. People, for the first time they were learning Rambam, there was a group that went to the Rambam's kever in Tveria. They put on the Shabbos clothing. You know, they're inaugurating this new institution. Rabbi Kogan, who was a shliach in the USSR at the time, this is 1984, right? So the Iron Curtain slept. And he says that they heard about this institution, this establishment. The Rebbe is beginning a study program to study all of Rambam. And they couldn't find all the books of Rambam in the USSR. So one person had some Rambam, so every day they sat down and learned the same Rambam again and again. But they wanted to be part of the Rebbe's movement, even though they didn't have the access to do it the proper way. I'm sure the Rebbe was very happy with that kind of a study. Since then, and from that point going forward, almost every Farbrengen, almost every gathering, the Rebbe would explain halacha and Rambam related to, from that week, let's say on Shabbos, the Rebbe would explain a Rashi from the parasha of the week, the Rebbe would explain a Rambam from the week. And that turned into 4 volumes of explanation, deep explanation from the Rebbe on Rambam. It became like and people would see, it's very not uncommon, you would see the Rebbe carrying a Rambam in and out of shul, especially when the Rebbe would be in the car going to his father-in-law's oil. They would see the Rebbe, pictures of this. They were learning Rambam. Sometimes even the drive would end and the car would be parked outside of 770, and the Rebbe hadn't finished yet. And the Rebbe would be sitting in the car for a few minutes, finishing his Rambam, and then go in. So it was like a thing. The Rambam became something that Rebbe lived with in a similar way that the Alter Rebbe established that we should live with the parsha of the week. It's always something that Hasidim discuss. They're always discussing, Jews in general discuss what's the parsha of the week. You have an insight to this or that. And that's where the Rebbe approached the study of Rambam. Every Shabbos was a talk on Rambam. Every Farbrengen, the Rebbe talked about something to do with the Rambam of that week. The Rebbe encouraged finding lessons from Rambam, from the daily week, from the daily Rambam. The Rebbe wanted really that the Rambam should become something that's so integrated in the way we live, in the way we think, and the way we feel. The Rebbe even referred to it as a dream. My dream is that Rambam should be this universally accepted, unifying study program that all Jews do everywhere. It's like a dream that he has, a chalom. Rebbe referred to this. Like many campaigns that Rebbe began, there's opposition, and there are those who mock the study of Rambam in the sense that you're just covering ground, you're moving through it very quickly. You have to understand, because historically speaking, the Rambam was reserved for a Rosh Yeshiva's pilpul. A dean of a school wanted to impress with a good class. He would take a Rambam, explain it, because the Rambam does not give any background to his laws. This is dry law. So to figure out from the Talmud what the Rambam meant is a whole skill. And that became the way of learning Rambam, was the skill of trying to decipher what the Rambam's source was for his law. And because of that, they looked at the study of every day just covering ground, 1 chapter, 2 chapters, 3 chapters. They looked at it and said, you're not learning Rambam the real way you're supposed to. But Rebbe pointed out, actually missing the point. First of all, anybody who learns Rambam from beginning to end, the Rambam himself wouldn't let them mock the study of Rambam. But moreover, if you look at the Rambam's introduction to his book, he writes, the point of this book is that you should not have to look in the Talmud. The whole point is for an easy read to get full cover ground of all of Torah. And that's the whole point. Not to pick one select and make a whole pilpul, a whole dissertation on one selection. The whole point of the way that Rambam wrote the book is that any person can open up, read from beginning to the end, and cover ground. And in fact, this is one of the 2 reasons that Rebbe cited for why he chose Rambam. Rebbe actually said about the Farbrengen that there's many more reasons, but these 2 will suffice. And the 2 are, number 1, as I just mentioned, you cover all of Torah. It's the one and only book that covers all of Torah. Even the Talmud does not. All of Torah law, because the Talmud doesn't cover many of the laws pertaining to the land of Eretz Yisrael, for example. That's covered in Jerusalem Talmud, in the Talmud Yerushalmi. The Code of Jewish Laws does not cover laws pertaining to the temple. It only covers laws pertaining to the way we live today. The one and only singular book that covers all of Torah and all of mitzvahs is the Rambam. That's reason number 1 that Rebbe chose this, because it gives really a person a full knowledge of all of Torah. Even if not in depth, at least a vast knowledge of just the breadth of Torah, and you feel comfortable in a discussion regarding any part of Torah because you're familiar with it. And the second reason is the unity. Because as we just described, the Rambam's laws are written as such that anybody can pick it up and read it without any deep explanations and pilpuls and dissertations. It's just a standalone work that anybody can read. In the Rambam's words of his introduction, he's writing halachas kagkotin kagadol for the erudite student and for the beginner student. Everybody can learn the Rambam, and therefore there's this equality. There's this unity that's brought about through the study of Rambam. And these two elements, unity and the completion of all of Torah, is actually what's required for the coming of Mashiach, and therefore this study becomes the preparation for Mashiach. In that the study of Mashiach comes through unity amongst Jews, as the destruction that we're marking tomorrow, and the coming 3 weeks, we're marking destruction that was brought on by hatred amongst Jewish people. So the antidote, of course, is love of Jewish people. And this study of Rambam, which unites Jews, does just that. And likewise, Mashiach is all about the complete and full restoration of Torah and Jewish law. And that's what the Rambam does in covering all of Jewish law and all of Torah. So that's just a little bit about this. There's much more to say, especially there was a relationship with the Siyumim, which we're celebrating now. Rebbe encouraged a lot the celebrating conclusions. They made a Siyum in Cairo at the Rambam's shul. They made a siyum in the Rambam's house in Fez, in Morocco, where he lived. They made a siyum at the Rambam's kever in Tveria. It was a whole to-do. They encouraged that they print an album, detailing the history with pictures of the events and of the study of Rambam and of all the gatherings that were marked in accordance. So what we're doing here today is certainly no small thing. It's a big deal. And again, this, like I said, mazel tov to all those who successfully completed, and a mazel tov in advance for all those who are no doubt going to either recommit themselves to the study or take it on to begin with on the 3 tracks that are available. Thank you. The 3 tracks that are available, either 3 chapters a day, or 1 chapter a day, or by learning 1 mitzvah day as divided for the year. All of that can be found on Chabad.org. You can check it out. There are classes and ways that you can do all of this online.